If you want to freeze time, you do not need a machine. You do not need to travel near the speed of light, enter a black hole, or break any law of physics. You only need to do something much easier. Wake up at the same time, follow the same route, speak to the same people, or to almost no one. Repeat the same tasks, return to the same room, look at the same screen, go to sleep, and do it again. Do this long enough, and something strange begins to happen. The clocks continue moving. Your body continues aging, the world continues changing, but your life stops producing evidence that time has passed. At first, this may sound impossible. You can see the day changing, you can count the birthdays, you can watch another year disappear from the calendar. Yet when you look backward and ask what separated one month from another, you may find almost nothing. Monday looks like Thursday, March resembles June. This year feels suspiciously similar to the last one. Time has not stopped around you, it has stopped inside your memory. And here is the disturbing part. While you are living this way, the days may feel painfully long. But when you remember them, entire years can seem to vanish. How can time move slowly and disappear quickly at the same time? That contradiction is the secret behind freezing it. Imagine that every day of your life were painted a different color. One day might be blue because you met someone unexpected. Another might be red because you took a risk. Another might be gold because you completed something difficult. When you looked back, you would see a long sequence of colors, and every change would help you locate yourself in time. Now imagine painting every day with exactly the same shade of gray. There are still hundreds of separate days, but from a distance, they merge into one surface. You cannot easily see where one ended and another began. This is what routine can do when it is no longer a structure that supports life, but a structure that replaces it. The problem is not waking up at the same hour or working in the same place. Routine is useful. The danger begins when nothing inside that routine asks you to notice, choose, learn, risk, connect, or change. Without those differences, you may remember facts, where you worked, where you lived, what you usually did. But fewer distinct scenes. Your life becomes easy to describe and difficult to remember. You say, I worked a lot that year, or I mostly stayed home. And an entire season is reduced to one sentence. But this is not merely a poetic idea. The mind really does use change to organize experience. And once we understand how it does that, we can see why a repetitive life creates the illusion of frozen time. Your memory does not record life as one continuous film. It divides experience into events. A conversation begins, a person enters the room, you arrive somewhere new, the subject changes, a problem is solved. Each meaningful shift can create what researchers call an event boundary, a mental border separating one episode from the next. Studies of event cognition show that changes in context help segment continuous experience into distinct episodes in memory. Research also indicates that events separated by these boundaries can later feel farther apart in time than moments contained within the same unbroken event. In other words, the brain does not judge the distance between two memories using clocks alone. It also considers how much changed between them. This gives us the first scientific clue. If change creates boundaries and boundaries separate experience, then a life with very few meaningful changes can feel like one extremely long event. You wake up inside it every morning, but psychologically, yesterday never completely ended. There was no clear border, no new chapter began. A laboratory study published in PLOS Biology offers another piece of the puzzle. Researchers found that images appearing around behaviorally relevant target moments were remembered better. They described this as a kind of temporal novelty effect. When something significant happens, attention and memory can become stronger, even for information appearing near that moment. The mind seems to mark certain points in time because something mattered there. This does not mean you need constant excitement. It means your memory needs landmarks. And if your days contain no decisions, discoveries, challenges, meetings, endings, or beginnings, the mind receives fewer reasons to place a flag in the ground and say, this happened here. So perhaps you do not experience a year as 12 months. Perhaps you experience it as the number of meaningful boundaries you crossed. And what happens when that number approaches zero? During the COVID-19 lockdown, researchers studied how people experienced the passage of time. Participants commonly reported that time felt slower during lockdown than before it, and the strongest predictors of that slowing were boredom and sadness. This makes intuitive sense. When little is happening and your attention turns toward time itself, minutes become difficult to ignore. You watch the clock, and the clock seems to watch you back. But there is a second perspective. Later, when you look back on a repetitive period, there may be few distinctive memories available to represent it. The hours felt long while you were trapped inside them. yet the month feels short because little separates its beginning from its end. This is the paradox. Empty time expands in the present and collapses in the past. Think of a long blank hallway. Walking through it may feel slow because there is nothing to distract you, but once you reach the end and look back, there are no doors, paintings or objects that allow you to measure the distance. The whole journey becomes one image. This is how you freeze time without stopping a single second. You make every present moment feel heavy, then leave too little behind for memory to hold. But routine is only one method. There are two others, and they are even easier to overlook: living without a future and living without witnesses. A goal is more than something you want to achieve. Psychologically, it creates a difference between here and there. It gives the future a shape. The moment you decide to learn a skill, complete a project, improve a relationship, visit a place, or build something that does not yet exist, the days stop being identical containers. One day becomes the day you began. Another becomes the day you nearly quit. Another becomes the day something finally worked. Without goals, tomorrow becomes a copy of today. There is nothing waiting for you except another repetition. You may still be busy, extremely busy, but movement is not the same as direction. A treadmill produces effort without arrival. A calendar can be full while a life remains still. This is why the absence of goals freezes more than motivation. It freezes narrative. Stories require attention between the current world and a possible world. A character wants something, encounters resistance, makes choices, and becomes different through the attempt. Remove the possible world and there is no journey, only description. The goal does not need to be grand. In fact, enormous goals can become so abstract that they create no daily movement at all. A small, concrete aim can divide time more effectively. Finishing one page, making one call, learning one technique, going somewhere unfamiliar, returning to an abandoned idea. A future becomes real when today contains evidence of it. But even goals are not enough. You can move through many experiences and still feel that your life is disappearing if no one else is truly present inside it. Other people are living landmarks. A friend remembers a version of you that you have forgotten. A conversation creates an event that could not have happened inside your mind alone. Someone asks a question you would never ask yourself. Someone changes, forcing you to notice that time has passed. Relationships interrupt repetition because no person remains perfectly predictable. When social contact disappears, days can become internally sealed. You may consume thousands of images, posts, videos, and voices, yet still have very few moments in which another person directly responds to your presence. Information enters, but little happens between you and the world. This does not mean solitude is bad. Solitude can be full of attention, creation, reflection, and discovery. Nor does having many friends guarantee a meaningful life. The issue is not the number of people around you. It is whether your life contains genuine encounters, moments in which you affect someone and are affected in return. Without those encounters, memory loses some of its shared reference points. There is no day we met, conversation that changed my mind, mistake we still remember, or moment someone noticed I was different. Your past becomes private, and because it is private, it becomes easier for its days to merge. Now the method is complete. To freeze time, repeat the same days, remove every future landmark, and avoid anyone who might interrupt the pattern. The result is not immortality, it is something stranger. You keep getting older without feeling that you have traveled. But if time can be frozen this way, can it also be restarted? The obvious answer would be to destroy your routine, travel constantly, chase excitement, meet endless people, and transform every day into an adventure. But that answer confuses novelty with meaning. If everything is new, nothing remains new for long. Constant stimulation can become its own routine, and experiences collected only to escape boredom may still feel empty. The opposite of frozen time is not chaos, it is contrast. Your mind needs enough difference to recognize that one moment is not the same as another. You do not need a completely different life. You need differences that matter. Choose one project that will leave visible evidence. Create one ritual that makes a particular day distinct. Go somewhere without using your usual route. Learn the name of someone you regularly pass. Call a person before the relationship becomes only a memory. Read something that can disagree with you. Make something imperfect enough to exist. These actions are small, but each can produce a boundary. Before I did this and after I did this. There is an important distinction here. The goal is not to make time feel slower every moment. New and engaging experiences may actually make time feel fast, while they happen because your attention is absorbed. The change often appears later, when you look back and discover that the period contains detail, structure, and distance. A full day can pass quickly and still occupy more space in memory than an empty week. That is the final reversal. Perhaps you should not try to hold every second. Perhaps you should give each period enough shape that it can be found again. So how do you freeze time? You freeze it by removing change from your days until memory can no longer tell them apart. You freeze it by living without a goal that separates your present from your future. You freeze it by withdrawing from the people who would reveal new parts of you. The clock continues, but your inner calendar loses its dates. Yet the phrase frozen time is not completely accurate. Frozen things remain preserved. These days are not preserved. They are erased by similarity. What you created was not a perfect still image of life, but a blank space where movement should have left a trace. This is why a person can say, "I cannot believe 5 years have passed," and means something deeper than surprise. They may be searching for 5 years of internal evidence and finding only one repeated scene. The shock is not that time moved quickly. The shock is that it moved without becoming experience. The philosopher Henri Bergson distinguished measured time from lived duration. Clocks divide time into equal units, but consciousness does not experience every unit equally. An hour can feel enormous, a decade can feel compressed, and one conversation can occupy more inner space than 100 ordinary mornings. A clock can tell you how much time passed. It cannot tell you how much of that time became part of you. You cannot stop chronological time. You cannot negotiate with age, pause the world, or preserve the present by refusing to move. Refusing to move does the opposite. It allows the present to pass without becoming a chapter. So if your weeks have started to resemble one another, do not begin by asking how to change your entire life. Ask a smaller question. What could make this week recognizable? Not impressive, not perfect, recognizable. One honest conversation, one decision you have delayed, one place you have never entered, one goal small enough to begin today. One event that gives memory a reason to draw a line. Because the real way to stop losing time is not to hold it still, it is to give it somewhere to go.